With the preseason approaching, Barcelona is preparing a revamp in goal. The club has signed Joan Garcia and officially confirmed that goalkeeper Wojciech Szczesny has signed a new contract with the club until 2027. Meanwhile, Ter Stegen and Iñaki Peña are still on the books, but both are considered expendable. Peña is already weighing his future, but Ter Stegen, who has 3 years left on his contract, insists on staying. According to the Spanish press, he believes he is better than Garcia and is confident he can keep his place under Hansi Flick. Despite the club's desire to trade him to ease the payroll, Ter Stegen will report as usual on Sunday, when he will have a decisive conversation with the coach. Until then, he remains firm in his position to continue at Barca. If you are still trying to understand what happened with the Nico Williams saga, the moment of truth has arrived. According to Mundo Deportivo, Barcelona did everything in its power to sign Nico Williams before he renewed with Athletic Club. The club grew impatient with Nico's agent, who was reportedly stalling on a decision. Barcelona tried to speed up Nico Williams' decision by giving him a 48-hour ultimatum on July 2nd. The club warned that it would not sign him without guarantees of registration in La Liga. Negotiations began on June 13th, when Nico Williams' agent proposed an unprecedented clause, allowing the player to leave for free if Barcelona failed to register him. The club immediately refused, and that's when the deal began to fall apart. If Barca had accepted this absurd clause, Nico would be wearing blue and maroon today. Likewise, if the player had trusted the club's promise of registration, the transfer would have gone through. But his agent took advantage of the situation to pressure and strengthen his position with Athletic Club, knowing that Barcelona would not take such an extreme financial risk. Barca gave until June 28th to accept the deal, but Nico's team insisted on the clause. Seeing that the deal was not moving forward, Barca reconsidered Luis Díaz as an alternative. Even after Barca ended negotiations on June 28th, Nico still showed interest, asking for guarantees of playing time, but maintained the clause requirement. The club refused. Tired of the indecision, Barca asked Nico's agent to stop stalling and give a clear answer. The choice was simple: accept the offer without the clause or walk away. Nico and his family chose to renew with Athletic. On July 4th, his new contract until 2035 was confirmed, frustrating Barcelona's plans once and for all. Even if Barcelona had not exerted pressure, Nico Williams' decision would likely have been the same. His team and family were concerned that he might not be able to play if he was not registered in La Liga, a risk he did not want to take with the 2026 World Cup approaching. However, the reality is that he would have been registered. Barcelona gave concrete assurances, and there is proof of this. In addition to Dani Olmo in the past, the club will also register Joan Garcia, who would be in exactly the same contractual situation as Nico. Sooner or later, Nico will realize that he and his team were wrong about this supposed risk. When he sees Joan Garcia playing normally for Barca, it will be clear that he turned down the club out of unfounded fear. Of course, there is also the financial issue. Several newspapers in Spain point out that Nico's team took advantage of the hype surrounding Barcelona's interest to force a more advantageous contract at Athletic Club. Like it or not, that is exactly what happened. Former Barcelona president Joan Gaspart made headlines during his appearance on Radio Marca, stating that if he were still in charge, Barca would have managed to sign Nico Williams. Athletic showed more passion, more desire, more of everything to keep him. This is something I have experienced in several signings. Passion is fundamental. I had to convince more than one woman to convince her husband to sign for Barca. With me, Nico would have signed for Barca. However, Gaspart insisted that his absence should not weigh on Hansi Flick's new project, stating that the Blaugrana have a much better player in Raphinha. I prefer to see Raphinha play. He is much better than Nico. Despite his disappointment with the failed signing, Gaspart expressed his support for the current sporting director, Deco. He publicly defended him, stating, "He understands football, he was a great player, and he knows the world of intermediaries well. What happened is not his fault. I want PSG to win so that Madrid loses, period. You know that white has never suited me," said the former Barcelona president. According to Sport, Marcus Rashford may be close to leaving Manchester United, as coach Ruben Amorim does not see him in his plans for the season. Even with a contract until 2028, Rashford may be sidelined and trained separately, possibly paving the way for a loan move. Barcelona is closely monitoring the situation and sees Rashford as an ideal replacement after the loss of Nico Williams. The player is reportedly willing to wait for an offer from Barca, as he dreams of wearing the Blaugrana shirt. Rashford's patience could benefit the Catalan club, which believes it is possible to reach an agreement if he rejects immediate offers from other teams, such as Galatasaray. Frenkie de Jong faces delays in renewing his contract with Barcelona due to problems with his former agent, Ali Dursun. Although he agreed to renew months ago, the contract remains unsigned because de Jong wants to officially end his relationship with Dursun, who is reportedly hindering the process. The new agreement would include a salary restructuring to help Barca comply with La Liga's financial rules, as well as resolving old salary disputes. Despite the situation, the club is calm and confident that the player will stay, as he remains committed to the project. However, the renewal will only be finalized after the issue involving his representation has been resolved. Thus, the future of Dumfries' possible arrival depends directly on departures and the recovery of the 101 rule in La Liga's financial fair play. Barcelona faces new obstacles in its attempt to sign Luis Díaz. According to the newspaper AS, the Colombian is demanding a financial compensation clause if the club fails to register him by the close of the transfer window on August 31st. After the frustration with Nico Williams, Barca turned its attention to Díaz, who is willing to leave the Premier League and excited about the idea of playing at Camp Nou. Yes, Luis Díaz wants to play for Barcelona. A draft contract is already being prepared in case Liverpool agrees to negotiate. However, the clause requirement, which would guarantee payment even without official registration, further complicates the negotiation. In addition, the Catalan club faces stiff competition. Bayern Munich is interested due to Musiala's injury, and Saudi clubs are preparing million-dollar offers that Barca will find difficult to match. Speaking during a chat with some Instagram influencers from his home country, Díaz gave an honest update on his future. "We are in negotiations with Liverpool and with everyone who has shown interest," he said. "I am very happy where I am, but I need to make the best decision for myself." His words did not sound like a farewell, but they did not rule out a transfer either. Interestingly, when one of the Instagrammers mentioned Barcelona, Díaz could not contain his smile. It was a moment that did not go unnoticed. Even so, joining the Catalan team will not be easy. The striker is not pushing to leave immediately, but he is open to waiting until Barcelona can afford the transfer. Liverpool, on the other hand, has proposed an initial price of €80 million, an amount that Barcelona cannot match at the moment. Is Luis Díaz a good alternative? Write your answer in the comments below, yes or no. Rafael Leão has long been admired by Joan Laporta, and the club's close relationship with Jorge Mendes, who has influence over Leão's squad, makes him a viable target. However, Leão will not leave Milan this summer unless unexpected events occur. This was made clear by coach Massimiliano Allegri during his presentation as the Rossoneri's new coach, where he expressed his satisfaction at keeping the Portuguese striker for the coming season. "I am also happy that Leão is staying. He will have a great season. I think Leão is now more mature as a player and has everything it takes to do well," said Allegri. Leão had a difficult 2024-25 season after some personal problems with former coach Paulo Fonseca. This gave rise to speculation about a possible departure, putting Barcelona on alert. Bayern Munich, meanwhile, also showed interest in the Portuguese international in an attempt to sign a new left winger. However, it is clear from Allegri's statements that, unless something substantial happens, Leão will remain at Milan this summer. Subscribe to the channel and see Ibrahimovic's reaction to Nico's rejection of Barcelona in this video.